Welcome to The Dead Life. Here's world-renowned medium, Alison DuBois.
Welcome back for the second half of predictions for 2025. Today, I have Tom McMullan in studio, and we're going to go over what to expect in 2025. You know, the change I've seen people make in their life in regards to that is, I always say, if you're remotely attracted to them, go out a second time with the guy that you're not attracted to initially. Give him a shot. I've seen more people get married that way.
That's interesting. I've never heard that.
Because they get in these patterns of familiarity. So that's chemistry as well, I would imagine, who you're attracted to. You know, the familiarity of that kind of person or that look, that way they carry themselves, that energy. And so if they go and they give somebody the time of day that doesn't carry that energy, I've found that people actually end up being quite happy because they got off that hamster trail that they'd been on that just was going nowhere.
Well, if you keep doing it, you think you are happy because you don't know anything different. For me, I have a savior profile, you know, wanting to save people in relationships. That ended in my late 40s, early 50s. And so I took a step out of something going, I'm not going to be with somebody I feel I have to fix, who's broken. So, and that changed my life. It completely changed my life.
I think a lot of women like to fix men, though.
Well, it's a female energy.
Yeah.
It's the caretaker, you see.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's exciting when we go into this Aquarian energy because it is so much progress, so many unexpected events, which again terrifies everybody, but it's essential. And if you look what happened in history with the birth of this country, it's exciting when you think the liberation of groups, you know, we're talking about, again, humanity in ways, you know, I'm going to talk about Uranus going into Gemini because that's part of this coming year too also. But I'm going to go right down to Neptune next because Neptune is moving into Aries now this coming year, and that will be in April of 25. Now these other planets I'm going to refer to are going to go direct and retrograde in this year and part of the following year in 26. So this next 2 years kind of tie together. So it's a transition again, because we're going to have an ending year and then a number one year of new beginnings. So they kind of go side to side in terms of you end something and you start something new that you don't know what it's going to be. But Neptune in Aries is a 14-year period. And so we had a 14-year period of Neptune in Capricorn, or excuse me, Neptune in Pisces. And now it's moving out of that water into a fire sign.
How long was Neptune in Pisces?
14 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we get a water-fire connection, it's a yin and a yang. But, you know, and the last time it was in that sign was 1861, which was, it went in the very next day of the beginning of the Civil War. So now we go back to Neptune and it's what it means. And one of its essential meanings, as Allison knows because how she feels about Pisces, it has no borders and boundaries.
That's true.
It annoys the crap out of you because you're Aquarian. So the borders and boundaries are a problem for Pisces themselves. And it is the nature of Neptune is to you sort of go back into the sea. You see, it's not defined by a structure. It's water itself. Like I have a bottle of water right next to me.
Yeah.
So the water is Pisces, but the bottle itself is Virgo, the form that it takes on, but it can mutate very easily. So in the Civil War, it was a boundary issue. And we are in a civil war now. If you have looked at our politics, we have two very strong divided parties. And so that's being challenged now in terms of, you know, how that plays out because it's a very polarizing energy. Fire and water is polarizing.
That's around the world right now. It is around the world. Country.
It isn't just our country. It's everywhere.
Right.
So we're seeing collapses of regimes and governments all over the world. And
Syria, South Korea.
Right.
Just nuts.
So again, like I said before, it means confinement, but it also means hidden enemies. So there's hidden enemies lurking out there that are wanting to, you know, take over, if you will. And that
greedy little men.
Yeah, well, it rules delusion and illusion. It can be murky, it's like mud, or it can be as clear as crystal clear, and that is the intuitive side of Neptune. Neptune is a energy of intuition and spirituality. So it's not about analysis; it's about feeling and seeing. It's the visionary. That's why we go into a 9 year. It's to inspire the vision. So this is where you start coming up with ideas that are more about what your vision might be, how it feels, what it looks like. That's where you begin looking at how you're formulating with Neptune and Aries. That's the first place to start. Get out of your head.
Yeah.
You see, so, and it's also mis and disinformation and conspiracy theories. So this is, you got to get out of social media, people, because it's an addiction. It's an absolute addiction.
True.
And that is a Neptune Pisces energy, is addiction.
Did you see Australia just banned social media
Yes,
for
the
anyone under
phones.
16?
Yeah.
I think it was actually a good thing.
It's the best thing they could do.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've lost ourselves in it. And that has a lot to do with our sort of state of mind, because I always say to my Pisces and even Virgos, their nature is to lose themselves completely into something, like water gets absorbed into it. And whether, if it's a Virgo side, they lose themselves in their work. And then Pisces loses himself in fantasy or drugs or alcohol. So, it could do that. But I want you to understand, the social media, or when the phones that we have, we spend all our time, we lose ourselves into them and we disengage, which is dangerous for the Aquarian energy that we're going through. It only makes it exacerbates it if we're going to lose ourselves and disengage.
That's why people are losing their humanity. They're completely desensitized to people in pain.
But it is a collective discourse. So you want to belong to a tribe and cling to your tribe and now hate the enemy. That's got to go away. That's another thing that has to disappear. But I will tell you, for those,
I think that is.
Yeah. I
cancel
hope so.
culture is really going away
well, that's
now.
what cancel culture came from, Neptune and Capricorn.
Completely.
And so art and spirituality and awakening into that energy is very important, as you can take sort of that side, if that's a part of you. And it's something that, I mean, if you're a real left brain engineer type, this isn't going to work for you. But at the same time, if you have a sense of doing something artistic that you never did, and you're afraid to try, everybody that does something can be successful at it if they discipline themselves, build their knowledge, and stick to it. And so
I think people have trouble, especially, and not to bag on younger people, I don't mean it in that way. It's just doing the work.
But that's the point.
People want to get there fast.
Yeah.
They want it now. And that's not how life is.
No, I mean, I started studying astrology when I was 30 years old.
Right.
And now I'm 69. So at this point, I'm not doing the readings I did 20 years ago, or well, maybe, but not in the first 10 years. I evolved through this, and I never did anything else. I didn't do tarot. I didn't do numerology. I mean, I've looked at them, and they're all languages.
You pick up things here and there in other parts of ethereal.
But I immersed myself into this language and found my version of it, how I do it, which is soul evolutionary astrology. So that's how I want to use this language and this tool in my work. So, that's what you have to sort of focus and define yourselves in what works in the way you work. And then you have to trust it. That's the point. You are alone in it. You've got to figure this out.
Yeah.
But, if we're looking at, this Aries energy, Aries wants to achieve. It's like, get out of my way. Just do it. That's what it means. And it is a me energy. Aries is me.
I mean, their motto's I am. It's literally all about them.
Yes. And, and I probably said this before in a podcast, but I use the Nike company as an example of Aries because their slogan is just do it. And their symbol is not a swoosh. It's a check mark, which means next. It's off my list. They have horrible memories because of this. Because they'll get in a fight with you, and an hour later, they'll forget everything they just said. I don't know what you're talking about. That's what
I like about Aries the most. They don't hold grudges by nature unless they have something else in their chart that makes them a grudge holder. So I love that about Aries.
No, the fire signs tend not to. The water
Leo
signs.
Does.
Well, Leo does
grudges,
because it takes it personally.
Oh, yeah.
But essentially, if you're a water sign, you just hold on to it forever. So, especially Scorpios, but you gotta let it go.
Yes,
it's the whole point of Scorpios to let it go. That's what death means. So
that's true.
So it is, and if we look at a period of the Civil War, it is we did come together. We didn't break the country apart. So it wants to now, but we can't do that. Just like we couldn't do it then. We've got to find a compromise or a common ground of how we work together through these boundary issues in our own politics and in the world politics. So there has to be, once again, a humanity that traces this thing along.
Mm-hmm.
So now Uranus in Gemini is an 8-year period, and it starts in July of 25. So you see a lot of these things will not trigger until we get into the summer. Excuse me, late spring, early summer. And so this is going to blow your mind when I tell you about its history. The last times that Uranus was in Gemini, 1774 to 1782, which was the Revolutionary War, 1861 to 1865, which was the Civil War again, and 1941 to 1945, which was World War II.
Yeah.
So this is war energy, and I've talked about us being in war energy before.
Well, we're already into wars.
We've been in it, and so this does continue. You know, so we're what are we fighting for?
The hostages.
Yeah. See, once again, the humanity. We're fighting for religious freedoms.
Well, in the Ukrainian people to save them as well. And
well, Russia invaded their borders. There was a border issue.
There's a lot of debate on what exactly precipitated it, but let's just say we shouldn't be in it. It's a lot. It's a lot.
And again, you know, we get into these things because America is the savior of the planet.
But we don't want to police. They've been saying that for at least 30 years. They were saying that in college in 91. That people don't want to be the policeman of the world.
No, we made that decision when Uranus was in Gemini in 1941.
Okay, we weren't here.
No,
so
I know.
We wanted to change.
The country at the time.
We just want to live our lives.
Of the time.
You know, so it doesn't show anywhere in 2025 some aspects that are peaceful.
Not a lot, no. It's a lot of conflict. It really is.
So when you're reading conflict, can conflict be something that we have to do that maybe, say, one skirmish gets ended, but the other one's still existing? So one of them would be enough to show up in that chart that you're looking at? I mean, that means that there could be some advancement in these battles that are being fought.
Absolutely. That's the point of them.
Right. And so... or it'll intensify because we're about to change administrations and put an end to it. Right. But if there was an end to it, wouldn't you see that in the chart?
Well, if I look at the United States chart, because we're starting all over again.
We'll do that.
But I am referencing the United States chart because this is a rebirth of the same revolution that happened when it created the country.
Okay, so Jupiter goes into Cancer in the spring, and we're a Cancerian country, so... could that be some sense of harmony?
Well, let me give you some insight into that because we have Mercury in Cancer opposite Pluto and Capricorn in the birth chart of the USA, which means we force our opinion on everybody in terms of what we want them to be the way we do it.
Well, we just want them to make their own money. That's pretty good.
Well, I'm just saying Pluto and Capricorn, we were born with that moniker of like, we're the country, we're the leader.
Then that had to do with freedom, though, when they fought the revolution for America. So, we did believe that all countries should have free voting.
Right. But we have 5 planets in Cancer. So, here's the interesting part where you'll like.
Sometimes mothers have to back off a little. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing. We'll talk about mother because we're going to talk about the moon.
Yes.
You're going to like where the moon is. Where do you think the moon is in the American's chart?
Where the moon is?
What sign?
Pisces.
In Aquarius.
Is it?
Yes.
No, moon in Aquarius can be cold.
We want to free ourselves, want to free others. We want to be a part of that and help, it's all about liberating the world.
She wouldn't want to have to be the policeman to the world.
Well, this one I'm sitting next to would not, apparently. So
Aquarius doesn't want that.
Yeah. So, but she wants change.
But she can be detached.
Yeah, she wants to do things her way. Yeah. Okay.
Isn't she usually right? Just kidding.
Gosh,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
I'm kidding.
This is what I put up with. Okay.
I love it.
The interesting thing is, being focused on its allegiance to certain ideologies, that's kind of like, that Aquarian energy. And so, change to future progress is very much a part of this, obviously. But here's an interesting thing I wrote down. A long-term cause and goal may be more important than the casualties that may ensue. Because there's casualties in change. There's casualties in war. Brings out the humanity. So you can't have humanity and disaster without some kind of,
collateral damage.
Exactly. And that's where we talk about when we have human interactions with natural disasters is when we come together. It's the same thing. So
Well,
who we are championing in our world, and whether we're part of Israel or we're part of Syria or whatever it is, that's where those
aren't natural disasters.
No.
But when there's innocent people being killed, sure, we all come together. Yeah.
Yes. So it's we have a separate divided party right in half. Now I wanted to bring up that we've had Uranus and Taurus, okay, and it's going to move out of that sign, but what it did in it.
That's like the least Uranus thing in the world, Taurus.
They're both fixed signs.
That's true.
They're both stubborn as hell.
That's true.
So, the interesting thing is Uranus wants change and Taurus is possessive.
Give me my toys back. Yeah, totally.
But what it's done is challenge our monetary system, because change in money, first we got money in politics. The first time we had elected a president was a successful billionaire businessman, was brand new, absolutely brand new.
Well, we wanted somebody that was a non-politician, I think. Yeah.
But moneyed.
Right.
Right. Now we have Elon Musk coming into the White House.
I love it. Show me some success.
But see, money, that's a money man. That's a yang thing. So
on Bitcoin, wouldn't that be completely Aquarian?
That's right down, cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's a new monetary system that your generation or my generation is like, no.
We don't trust.
We don't trust it at all.
So true.
It's invisible. I need cash in my hand.
Yeah, it's like you've made you invested $400 and you've made 1.5 million. Congratulations. Now, how do you turn it into actual money?
Yeah.
That's a problem.
But Uranus and Taurus is a yin energy yet again, because Venus rules it.
Mm-hmm.
So then you had gender labels, you transgender issues, you have what they call, dressing like a man or a woman or whatever it is, a mutation in fashion, how they kind of cross over, and you look at fashion world. So, but it is a cancel culture. It's still a cancel culture.
It's not working though.
No, it didn't. Now it's moving out of that.
Right.
So, we get the intellect of Uranus and Gemini. So this is, again, we're going into very strong areas of thinking out of the box.
Wouldn't that be space?
Yeah, space. Yeah. In technology, thinking outside of the box. War of the words. That's what we're going to say, because it's going to be a war of words. Media is going to shift like crazy.
It's going to be an interesting news cycle.
Yeah. Oh, you can't even imagine.
Pop the popcorn and get the wine.
So, but it's the power of self-identification. So this is about defining yourself away from somebody that's trying to tell you what you can and cannot be, like banning books. And saying free speech. This comes down to free speech, because Uranus and Gemini is free speech extraordinaire. Okay. Mm-hmm. So there can't be any cancel. Maybe comedians get to come back and
that's going to be
entertain us again.
Yeah, but that's going to be hard, because that would extend to what you're talking about. I think we were watching different stations while we were going through all this, because the book burning that they were referring to obviously is a Nazi reference from World War II. But one side didn't want pornography in public school libraries, and the other side was saying they want to ban books. It's like they want to ban books that teach kids how to give blowjobs, and that's probably okay. Yeah. So they're going to have to define with their intellect some sort of a line that can be agreed upon.
But this comes back to Neptune again, because Neptune, as it was in Capricorn and Neptune in general, you saw a huge surge of evangelical people in the Republican Party. And they're building
people across the country. Millennials were starting to go to church. There was this swell of it.
But exactly. But you're
seeing
drink
of water.
Mega churches are growing again. So, going back to religion is still something that people are pulled to.
You know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a sense of community. And it's not that I'm a religious person. I'm really not. But I do believe in God. I do believe in a higher power, if you will.
Right.
I'm not arrogant enough to think that we are the end all manifestation of the higher level of frequency in the universe. Right. And so when people go to church back in the day, when communities were small, before they spread out and sort of made this mess that they've made across the country, and there's still some small communities in places, but if you had a problem and you couldn't make your rent or you were hungry, the church furnished that for you with the community donations, and people came together to help one another because it's how they were able to maintain society.
But that's the right, good part of that.
Right,
the community itself. It is the doctrination. Is not.
Okay, but again, you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. They're going to have to find a cleaner version of it. It's like, don't get rid of it. Just get rid of pedophilia. You know, that sort of thing, which we're aware now, and there have been lawsuits, yada, yada. But my point being, the church itself is good for the community.
Yes. I'm saying community minded it is, but when we have a separation of church and state, that's always tricky. You know, that's the part where it gets tricky.
Right.
So when someone has a community of a Jewish community or a Christian community, whatever, that's great. But don't say, you know, you can't be a part of our society if you're not part of our religion.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
No,
right.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying churches are good in the situation that if somebody's in need, the churches come to the aid of the person in the community who's a parishioner.
Right.
So I think they do serve a purpose in providing that backbone of a community. I'm not saying anything about excluding any particular religion from a community.
Yeah. So the point of Uranus in Gemini, essentially, there's going to be a lot of debates around ideas. And I will say it's consensus eventually that we're going to have to learn that both sides get a chance to speak. Both sides get a chance to have a point of view, and there has to be a consensus for peace to happen, essentially. So it's
Don't you think humanity's just kind of hopeless when it comes to peace? I mean, we'd all have to agree on everything, and we're all different variations of energy. How would that ever happen?
Well, we'll see. So then we go to Saturn. So Saturn is going to move into Aries, and it will join up with Neptune later. Well, that's not going to happen for a while, but Saturn's in a sign for 2 to 3 years, and it will go in. Now we go back to summer of 25, June of 25. Saturn will move into Aries as it comes out of Pisces. That's a good thing. Saturn was not happy in Pisces. Once again, it's an earth and fire, yin and yang energy.
Saturn's work, right?
Saturn is structure.
Well, so it wouldn't be happy in Pisces. Pisces is like, I'm going to take a beer break, right?
No, the whole thing was delusion and illusion and all the things that were very Neptune and confinement and no, we got to get the hell out of there.
Yes.
So, but it rules the military. Saturn in Aries rules the military because it's a structure. Aries is war. Aries, so
it's a patriarchal system. Sure.
Yes, it is. And the last times, I'll give you 2 times, it was in that sign, and that was, again, back to 67 and 69, in which we're still in, and 37 and 39. So that was the beginning of World War II in Europe.
Yeah.
So again, conflicts, military, and your authority is challenged. If you have Saturn in Aries in your chart, especially if you're male, you have daddy issues right away, or you join the military immediately.
Looking for the patriarchal structure.
Yes. And even women, I get a lot of women with Saturn and Aries that go into the military.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the time, we look at that time in 67 to 69, it was opposition to the war. We were in Vietnam, and there was the whole protest were about we're not supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll be a lot of conflict about if we get into any kind of wars.
We're in too.
Right. Exactly.
So I don't know that the young people share the same energy as the boomers did back in the late 60s. I don't see them protesting for our boys that would go off to fight, say, because we're fighting proxy wars. So
exactly. Yeah. So why would we even go into someone else's war?
Right.
That's the point.
Well, I think a lot of answers are going to be revealed in the next few months. It's going to be interesting.
Authority is going to be challenged, essentially. Yeah. And it's also, again, forcing your beliefs on somebody else because it's in Aries. So someone, this is how I do things. This is my structure. This is the dad that we do it my way or the highway.
But if somebody makes rules, which there has to be some rules in the world or it's chaos, it's anarchy, right? I think we can agree on that.
Yes.
So isn't somebody always going to feel like it's being forced on them? I mean, so isn't that perspective?
Depends on the person, I guess.
Right. That's what I'm saying. No, there's no way everyone's ever going to get along.
Someone chooses to go into the military.
Right.
So they choose to go into a system they can feel secure in and protected in and a part of. It's another community.
Right.
And it is that you have, because if we look at men or women going in the military, they're given rules, disciplines, and order in order to survive.
Well, and they're given money for college. They're given money, they can pay their bills, and they should be able to pay their bills anyways. I know in the last 4 years, there was a time when they couldn't. But
my point is that
it gives them that
survival.
Financial stability. It gives them the patriarchal figure, much like a coach. I'm sure those people were in sports when they were younger.
Same thing.
Okay.
That is the coach of the team.
I get it. Okay.
But it really, I'm going to give you the positive things that you can create in your life with this energy. For those who come in with the challenge of Saturn in Aries, is you're here to learn self-discipline, self-structure. It's to achieve. This is where I said, if you've got an idea, this is to put a plan down, like you're going to military. Here's the plan. Here's the rules. Here's the disciplines I'm going to do to get myself there. It means to achieve it and not give up. It's very entrepreneurial. So someone that has that desires to be in charge of their own structure and their own form in business.
Everybody, no matter what sign you are going to absorb these energies of what's going on. So that's why Tom's explaining it to all of you, because you're going to be absorbing this energy and taking on some of these characteristics in your own life.
Yes.
So.
And so even in your own chart, if you got a lot of Aries, you have these natures anyway. But if you've got Saturn there, you're going to have issues with authority. When we look at the Uranus energy and Pluto and Aquarius, that is to buck systems. So there's this challenge with this. It's like, what systems works for us, and where are we going to feel like I don't want to be in this system? There are people here already. It's like, I'm leaving the country, or the people going, I'm going to another country. Well, that's a problem, because our borders and boundaries want to shut down, because that's the thing that happened with Pluto or Neptune and Capricorn. All the mutation of people moving into borders and going into places they.
No, if people want to leave, we're totally fine with that.
No, I know. But anyway.
That's okay.
There is, you will see a lot of fires. There's going to be more fires that crop up with this energy, because the land itself is,
So
Earth.
why don't, So are you talking about California?
Well,
that's always California.
Fires and droughts it can be all over the world. I mean, that's sort of like.
But you only usually see it in certain places.
Well, places that are like have that, say in Australia
Australia. Yeah, they have had some. Got to clear the dead brush, people.
There's also a possibility of a lot of earthquake action.
Ooh.
Yeah, earth change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that. It's, all these things are in this year that are going forward then backwards. So we're going to have a reaction. We're going to have a happening and then a reaction to it. So an action and a reaction is how it's going to feel this year. It's like things happen like, oh my God, and then we're going to talk about it forever and then move into the next thing. It's one of those.
Yeah.
All the media is going to be going, now this has happened. And now we got to talk about that. Since something else immediately will happen and go, okay, now we got to talk about that.
I think the media will be happy to finally be able to work. They'll have something to talk about.
Oh, they'll have plenty to talk about. That's definitely Uranus and Gemini is definitely a lot of talk. And I mean, Saturn. Uranus, excuse me.
Uranus is in Gemini. You were talking about Saturn and Aries.
Yeah, Saturn I'm done with.
Okay.
I will just bring in Jupiter, because it happens in June of 25 also, and it moves into Cancer out of Gemini. This creates more of that, understanding, compassion. It's exalted. Jupiter's exalted, in Cancer, because it's humanitarian itself, to mother, to nurture. And so whatever does happen in this year, that in the disasters, in the sudden things that happen, you're gonna feel a sense of empathy, a lot of strong feelings about wanting to help, and it's very sensitive to injustice, because Jupiter is justice and Cancer is your sensitivity once again to those who are the ones that fell from the disasters, the ones that are the byproducts of whatever's going on. There'll be a pull for us, hopefully next summer, whatever's happening, that there is like, we got to take care of these people. It's
which people do you think they're going to? I have
no idea.
So does the whole world do that, or is that just us?
Wherever it's happening.
Wherever it's happening.
Yeah, this is global. This isn't just our country.
Okay, so wherever the disasters are happening, people will be deployed from multiple countries to help out and get them on their feet. We're probably going to be rebuilding Ukraine.
Well, rebuilding is new structures.
Part of the Middle East. So
rebuilding new structures is Saturn in Aries.
Right.
That's still building new structures.
It's going to be interesting, though. People can't afford houses. We've got 2 generations having trouble buying houses, and they want us to rebuild other countries. It's going to be an interesting year.
I read an article yesterday on, they're what do they call it? Imprinting houses, like out of computers.
Like fabricated homes.
Yeah, fabricating houses in a new way.
So it's like a mobile home made by a computer?
No, it comes out of, it's like builds walls and everything,
Okay.
by machinery.
We have a lot of houses. We have a lot of people here. We have to see who's here. We may not need more houses.
But there'll be innovation in building. Oh, I just went, did I go silent?
I can hear you.
Okay. It essentially is going to be a new way of housing, if you will.
Interesting. Because maybe a new way of housing is people go back to their place of origin.
However it works.
I mean, that could be.
Yeah.
So that is going to be interesting. There's a lot going on this year. Okay, so if there were 3 words to describe and to define 2025.
Change, unexpected, compassion.
Okay. Compassion's nice.
Yeah, I have to pull that in because there's going to be so much
Upheaval.
instability and upheaval that.
But we've had so much instability and upheaval. We lived through a pandemic, for Christ's sake.
Rock and roll.
Yeah. So you think we're going to go to war? Like, okay. Like more so than the 2 that we're already involved in?
It just feels that way to me. It feels there's going to be a lot of threats. Just say that.
There's going to be a lot of threats. There are a lot of threats right now. I think we're strong. We're going to work through whatever happens. I'm just looking forward to a new year because it's been a really tough, it's like it was 2019. And you said this a long time ago. It'll be pre-2020, pre-pandemic, and then post-2020, post-pandemic. Right. And it's 2 totally different worlds. And it's almost unrecognizable.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, okay. I want to be excited about 2025, though. People have been stressed for so long. People, go do what you want. Be happy. Enjoy your families. Put the phones down. Don't get caught up in like fear mongering or, stress and anxiety because it doesn't help anything anyways. You might as well enjoy your time here. That's what the dead tell me. Enjoy your time while you're here because it's short. Enjoy the people you love. Some of them won't be here next year. Make the effort for Christmas. Call them, surprise them, go see them, send them a gift and make it great because, for all the Christmases, you didn't take the time to see them. Do something good. That's what this is. That's what 2025 really is to me. It's the lessons we've learned in the last 5 years since the pandemic and putting it into action of how we want our life to look. A lot of people want it to go back to the way it was more so like in the 90s when kids could be kids. In the 80s, get kids on bicycles, not electric bikes. That's not helping them stay in shape. I mean, that's why we were all thin in the 70s and 80s is because we were athletes because we played. You're not playing if you're on an electric bike. I don't get this, what people are doing.
It's for old people.
No, I see kids on it all the time. I don't get it.
I know.
So, reassess your lives, people. And the accountability part I like where people, the self-structure and self-discipline of Saturn and Aries. I hope people don't do the right thing just because people are watching, but they do the right thing even when there's nobody around. That's self-discipline.
Yeah.
And that's being a good person because you hold yourself to a higher standard.
Correct. Yeah.
Ta-da! Happy New Year! So where can people reach you if they want to have their chart run and have a karmic reading?
TomMcMullan.com, and McMullan's McMullan. And that's my website. It shows you, go to the menu and how to get a reading from me. You can email me at tom@tommcmullan.com. And right now I'm about 3 or 4 weeks booked out, and it gets really busy as we hit January.
It'd be a good gift for Christmas, honestly.
Yeah, I got a few of those already coming up.
Yeah, people are very lost. And so, nope. That's a great idea. Even Sophia's like, I got to get some of those for my friends, some gift certificates from Tom for Christmas. So, okay, go find Tom. At least know what baggage you came in with from a past life. I love hearing that. You're so right on when it comes to the energy we carry, and we can identify with certain time periods and places that, yeah, that makes sense that I was there. I love that. So thank you very much, Tom. I'll see you next year. And thank you to my listeners for tuning in. Tune in next week for a fresh episode of The Dead Life. I'm Alison DuBois. This is The Dead Life. To all of my believers out there, don't stop believing.
Join us next week on The Dead Life. And don't forget to subscribe now to get notified of every new episode.